All right, guys, we're here with Mauricio Huerta here. Great guy I've been acquainted with for a while. He recently successfully completed his acquisition of his business with an SBA 7A loan. We're just having a quick interview here to talk about what the process was like, some of the ups and downs, and the stories of how we finally got it done. So Mauricio, thanks for taking some time here on the weekend to do a quick interview with us here. But tell me about the business that you bought. And I guess start me out. Where were you a year ago, mid-COVID lockdown? What were you up to, and where does that compare to where you are today with this business purchase?
A year ago, I didn't have any business. So
Yeah,
let's see, a year ago, I was just beginning my hunt. Okay, I'm looking for a technology company to acquire, and I wasn't sure exactly what to do or which lender to go to. Basically, a year ago, I was clueless and penniless.
Yep. That's but hey, yet another case study on a young guy who's been able to get it done. So tell me more about your process on how you found the business, and I guess where the SBA 7A financing really came into play, how many lenders we had to talk to really find the best one for you, and all that. But
Okay, so about the company, I'll go ahead and share the name of it. It's called Lightcrest. It's a cloud managed service provider and consulting company. So essentially what they do is if your company has large data storage needs, they're the ones who'll do the they'll do the managed services. If you're using AWS, GCP, Google Cloud Platform, or Microsoft Azure as your public cloud, or we also offer our own private cloud platform, which is Kahu, which it's your own private cloud where you don't have to share it with any tenants. So in short, Lightcrest is just a technology consulting company.
got it. Awesome. What kind of revenues were they doing for 2019? How did COVID impact them? What did that do to the revenue? I guess explain for someone listening what that kind of looked like as far as getting the deal done after COVID had kind of already set on to the world.
Right. For 2019, the revenue was about 3 million, 3.1 million on the tax return. And for 2020, it was just slightly lower, like about 2.8, 2.9 million.
Okay.
So they didn't,
so it wasn't that bad. Yeah.
yeah, they didn't really get too affected. The tricky thing with this company though was that they since when they offer their private cloud, essentially a product, they get 3 years worth of money up front, since it's a 2 or 3 year contract.
Okay.
So in trying to explain that to the lender, there is a bit of extra work and on their part, because they're trying to figure out if cash flow would actually cover debt service because of the way they did their accounting. So that was probably the trickiest part.
Yeah. And I remember, we talked about that in some detail. Just there's some funky accounting, but every business model has a little bit different if you can do it cash versus accrual. So it's not a big deal. So,
right.
So yeah, I mean, when, I guess give the listeners, the audience, the timeline from when you first found the business to when we got the LOI from the bank to when it finally funded and closed, what that timeline looked like. And, obviously if we could do it again, it would probably be a lot quicker, but
Yeah, for sure.
I guess just what was the timeline on that?
Okay, I found the business at the last week of January 2021.
Mm-hmm.
LOI to the bank about mid or end of February, and it closed on the very last week of July 2021. But again, it wasn't the bank's fault. It was rather a high level of complexity in the deal.
Yep.
For one thing,
big legal bill. We know that.
Yeah, but not just that. It was also that the seller's accountants had fired them at the end of March. Basically because it wasn't. Essentially, they don't ever follow their accountant's rules and how they turn in information. So their accountant said, you're not worth having as a client. So they ended up getting transitioned to another accountant, and
that always causes a lot of delays. Yeah.
So we had to wait even longer to get the correct financials, year-to-date financials to the bank. So that's what caused a huge delay.
Yeah. And I know you had no direct industry experience. So one of the barriers with getting this done was you had to bring in a partner. You had to source a partner, an operating partner, someone who had some industry experience with the business, who had kind of more knowledge of the day to day than you, because you didn't have any direct knowledge about managed cloud services and cloud architecture and tech consulting. I mean,
Oh
you're
yeah,
you're,
no.
you're just the number. You're just the numbers guy, right?
Yeah, let's put it that way. Like I didn't even know exactly what people meant when they said, "What do you mean by the cloud? Like where's the data being stored?" That was my extent of my experience in cloud.
Hey, there you go. Okay, so we brought in the operating partner. If the seller was in a position where they're able to get everything to you, you think this deal could have probably closed in 3 months, but it took a little bit closer to 6. But again, that wasn't the bank's fault or anybody's fault other than really the sellers and their slowness and pulling all the documents together. Which, trust me, I hear that every day, and I deal with that every day with not even just business buyers and sellers, but also business owners in general who just get busy doing other things and they just don't have time to pull the documents together, which I'm sure was
Correct.
yeah, that was a big point of friction with the process here. So okay,
Yep.
so it closed end of July, and you were able to get that funded through an SBA 7A lender, same one that actually did mine, right?
Correct.
Byline
Correct.
Bank out of Chicago. And for anyone listening, they did my first deal back in 2017. They're one of the top. I believe they're top 5 by volume. It depends on the quarter or the calendar you're looking at. But they're consistently in the top 5 of SBA lenders, and they're really good for larger business acquisitions over $1 million, because they're not as concerned with collateral or this or that. Provided there's good cash flow, there's a good story within the business. Byline is a great lender for that. So we're able to get that done. I guess give anyone who's listening. I mean, if you had to go do this deal all by myself, you didn't have me as a sounding board to help you answer questions, this or that, how much longer do you think it would have taken? How many more extra loopholes would hoops would you've had to jump through if you didn't have someone as a good sounding board resource who was very knowledgeable in SBA with this deal?
Well, before I met you, I really wasn't sure exactly which lender to go to because there's like 50 different, or there's a lot of shit ton of
There's over 1,000 SBA lenders
Yeah.
PLP status in the country.
Right. And the fact is that not every SBA lender is the same.
Yep.
You take one deal to another lender and they're going to turn it down for one reason. Another lender will say, we'll turn it down for another reason. It's like dealing with lawyers. You talk to 10 lawyers, you get 100 different opinions.
Yep.
So, it definitely would have taken me longer if I didn't have at least a few key bits of information. That would have a lot longer if I didn't have those few keys of bits of information on what to do. So
yeah. Well, and that's kind of the premise of a lot of what I talk about with business owners, is every bank has a slightly different credit box. So just give you an example. We had a guy, he came to us recently with he's got an HVAC and a garage door installation business, and he had grown very tremendously over the last couple years. He went from 3 million to 5 million of top line through COVID, through 2020. So 2019 it was 3 million. 2020 he was at a little bit above 5 million, and then this year 2021 he is on track. It's August and he's on track to do about 12 million this year. And the only reason he needs SBA financing is because he's growing so fast he can't keep up. He's like, we're turning a profit, but and so we took him to a couple lenders, and some lenders that I am able to send a lot of business to, they just turn it down for one reason. Oh, he has too many trucks. We don't want to deal with the administration of that many cars. One of them turned it down because they're like, well, we don't think refinancing this debt is eligible, even though the rules clearly say it is, and the other banks. So
right.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of the problems is when you have a 590-page long SOP guidance document, every lender has a slightly different you're multiplying the complexity of a 590-page document times the complexity and boneheadedness of banks. Right. And the end result is, like you said,
Right.
10 banks, and you get 100 different opinions. And what I'll say funny is funny too, is sometimes that when a banker brings in a deal himself, the bank loves it. But if that same deal came in from a broker, they would find a reason to hate it. So there's all these different things sometimes that they go into it, dynamics that really a lot of times don't make any sense. But again, that's the nature of the SBA realm, and kind of why here with what we do with 7 Accelerator is saving people time, right? We're accelerating the SBA process for business owners, kind of cutting out some of the brain damage work of finding the right lender, making sure you have the deal set up. So, and then, I know some of the deal structure stuff was pretty complicated, and we talked briefly here and there about, tips and high levels about how to best structure that. yeah, your deal structure is by far one of the more complex ones that I've dealt with. So we don't have to go into that for the audience,
Yeah.
but yeah, there was for anyone listening to the interview, there was a pretty complicated deal process. The total purchase price, what was the ballpark on it again? It was like
Total
two and a half,
pur-
two
No,
two
the
and a
total
half.
no the total purchase price, because it's cloud, higher margin, was 4.5 million. 4.5 million.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, and the total banknote on that came to
80%.
80%. Okay. So yeah, I mean, and so for everyone in the audience, really SBA loans, really anything above like $1.5 million, loans in that category, the number of lenders who really like doing those, especially for uncollateralized deals, it's pretty limited. So, for his deal, I know, for example, there was a couple of other banks that, do business acquisitions that didn't like it for one reason or another. Maybe it was direct industry experience, collateral, total cash available, whatever the case might be. But the lender we took it to, Byline, was in fact able to get it done, right?
Right.
So but yeah, I mean, that's just another thing for the audience, anyone listening to the interview. Every bank, again, is different, and banks will find things that they like in deals that other banks will dislike in deals, and vice versa. So anyway, what would you say for any business owner who is interested in getting SBA financing, either to buy a business or to scale their business, who doesn't know where to start and is evaluating, either working with me in some capacity or working with us at 7A Accelerator in some capacity? What would you recommend? I mean, as a one paragraph word of advice to someone who's interested in working with us?
Well, I mean, the fact is, you're not going to find better financing or better terms than government guaranteed money.
Yep.
So that's one thing. And number two, I mean, having somebody that's actually done multiple SBA transactions across various industries, well, that's definitely guidance I think anybody should take advantage of.
Yeah.
And it's a shortcut. That's why it's called the 7A Accelerator.
Yeah. There we go. That's why we called it what we did. So anyway, well, again, thank you for taking some time to have a conversation with this weekend. Again, if you have a technology business or you have any sort of business with cloud architecture or consulting related needs, we will link Mauricio's LinkedIn in the bio below. You can reach out to him. With his company Lightcrest, you can reach out and see if there's possibly a way for his business to help you as you scale your company. But again, Mauricio, thank you for taking the time to do an interview here today. And hope you have a good week ahead of you running the business and scaling it off to the next level. I'm sure you're busy. Everybody that we talk to in technology on the SBA side seems to be busy now, and I'm sure your guys' business has been picking up tremendously with much the same. So best wishes to you. And we'll talk again soon.
All right, sounds good. Take care.
All right, thanks.